When I'm doing the monoplata, I've got 4 limbs. Each limb is doing a different job. Right now I'm doing a monoplata on Richie's right arm. Basically, I'm going to take his arm and bend it around my waist. It's bent. This is a bent arm lock. My left hand is going to be basing. This is the only hand that basically only does one thing. Let me basing. Now, I've got 2 feet. The one that's closest to him, my right leg, is either going to be across his neck, like this, or in his armpit. In his armpit or his neck. Those are the 2 jobs that the top foot can do. The bottom foot can also do 2 jobs. It can either be basing on the floor, or if we've ended up there somehow, or if I'm more flexible, it can go across his face. This is tighter, a little bit harder to get. So it can go on his face, or it can go on the floor. Most of the time in this instruction, I'm going to be doing it on the floor. This hand can do one of 2 things. It can either be grabbing my own shin, which is what I do most of the time, or it can be controlling his elbow. I'm going to be grabbing his golfer's elbow bone, the epicondyle, like right there. It's that little bony thing on the inside of your elbow. So, my foot in this case is in the armpit. My other foot in this case is on the ground. My hand in this case is controlling the elbow. I'm going to be rolling in here because I do not want to let his arm straight. Now to apply this, I'm going to lift my hips up ever so slightly, scoot it so that both of my butt cheeks are on the ground, and then my hips are moving this way. Tap. There. That doesn't change if this is across his face. Say that's across his face. Tap. Same thing. That doesn't change if this is across his face. Tap. That doesn't change if I'm grabbing my own shin here. The reason I'm grabbing my own shin, incidentally, is to pull this tight, which rotates his arm like that. Tap. There. Now, I know the first time I saw the monoplata, I was like, how are you ever going to get into this position? But then, as I started exploring the omoplata more, man, you end up in this all the time. It's a really powerful technique. It's been used a lot. Before we move on, I should show you one other variation. I don't use this as much personally, but some people really like it. Instead of having my shin lying sideways across his body, I put my foot on the ground here, and I fold my knees in. Now I'm going to cross my ankles. It's a little bit like a loose triangle choke. If Richie were to escape his arm and come up, we would go to a triangle choke. So that's the threat there as well. I'm going to cross my ankles and keep him in this sort of ersatz triangle. I'm going to drop and put both my hands on his elbow while pinching his hand in my armpit. This looks a lot like the outside-ashi position when you're leg locking, and the finishing mechanics are kind of similar. I'm going to bridge my hips forward, and I'm going to roll that arm in. Kind of like doing a heel hook. Thank you so much. So, that is your crash course to the monoplata. We're going to be doing a lot more of the entries and tying this together with the omoplata game as the instruction goes on.